I come in peace because it might seem like I'm looking for trouble today, but I really do come in peace. In 2014, Goodluck Jonathan passed a bill that made it a federal offense to engage in any sexual conduct or relationship involving someone of the same sex as yourself. There are situations where you leave small boys with very mature men that might be involved in those kind of things, and they spoil those people. The reason why there's an anger, there's an outrage, or people seem to be very homophobic is because of how much it is in our faces. It's like somebody has done something bad to these people before, and then there's some sort of overcompensation going on with Netflix or with whoever, where there has to be some character of that persuasion in every single movie and every single series, and we are all gobbling it up. We have to accept it. But deep down, we probably do not like to see that kind of thing, even if we don't mind it. So when it's being forced down our throat like this, there's this inner resentment that is being built up, and then it comes out of your mouth as homophobia or in your actions as homophobia, and it's not really what it is. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to the Good Living Podcast. It's still your host, Coke Boy, and today I'm wearing a white durag, and it is very significant and it is intentional. And this is because I come in peace. Because it might seem like I'm looking for trouble today, but I really do come in peace. Today, we're going to talk about something that is a very touchy issue, and it is homosexuality, gay, gayness. It's difficult to put those words, but let's not put tags on it since we're on Instagram and we are live. So, the first thing, what's homosexuality? And it is in the context of this country that we are talking about it. Homosexuality is having sexual attraction towards someone of the same gender as yourself. And in 2014, Goodluck Jonathan passed a bill that made it a federal offense to engage in any sexual conduct or relationship involving someone of the same sex as yourself, and made it punishable by up to 14 years in prison. And I remember when I was in secondary school then, and it was always a joke when someone does something that is slightly homo. Everybody, 14 years seemed like a joke, but there are certain people who were actually genuinely terrified about that because now the way they want to live their lives has become a crime. And I want us to dissect this issue today. I have an opinion on how it can be properly managed, even in Africa, even with all our prejudices and everything that we might be feeling, and all our quote unquote homophobia. But I think there's a way that we can have a better society, even with this thing as being in existence as it is. Because in Nigeria, it is becoming clear and evident day after day that these people exist amongst us, amongst different classes of people. You know, personally, I have a theory, and I don't know if this is correct or not, but I often feel every person that acts effeminate, every man that acts effeminate has a sprinkle of that in them. That's my theory. It's not been tested. I don't know, but that's how I think, right? And so I often think of those people as like that when I see them, and there is no prejudice whatsoever. I just feel like it's an issue because you know what, this topic is actually very very touchy to work on to work on. No. Anyways, I have a way that I think we can handle this situation better than we are doing it now because I feel like there are people who are too extreme. There are both sides of the conversation. There are people who think, oh, we should treat these people a certain way, and da da da. There are people who think, if you see them, stone them, beat them, and all of that. But I think I have an opinion that everybody can agree with, and that is going to make sense. So just stick with me. First of all, how does someone become like that? I have reason to believe that there are different reasons. One, you could actually be born like that. I do believe it. I know a lot of people say, no, they spoil them, their spirits, they enter them, blah, 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 blah. I believe that you can be born like that. And if you're born like that, then you're helpless. There's nothing you can do about it, even though it is unnatural. And if you want to argue with me, the way the lifestyle of the average homosexual is is unnatural in the sense that you cannot reproduce with that kind of lifestyle. And the essence of humanity is for propagation. We're supposed to continue. And if the way you decide to live your life is the correct way, you cannot ensure our reproduction and our continuity as a race, as a human race. And so that just makes it wrong, first of all. in my eyes, or at least let me just say unnatural in my eyes, first of all. But it doesn't mean it should be a punishable offense until a line is crossed. And I'll talk about that line shortly. But first of all, the origin could be natural, like I said, you could be born like that, or you could be molested into it. Like, you know, this happens a lot of times. You see, there are rumors that happen, and I'm not going to want to, I don't want to go to and offend any church or anything like that. But I think we all know what I'm talking about. There are situations where you leave small boys with very mature men that might be involved in those kind of things, and they spoil those people. In certain situations, people are abused, is what I'm trying to say, and from that abuse, that kind of behavior can, linger within these abused victims, especially if they don't talk about it, and they become like that. So there's also the thinking that is a sexual indeed, that it's a mental disorder. Like there's something wrong in the brain somewhere where now your sexuality is not functioning properly anymore. Do you know? Slightly, I'm scared that I will say something fucked up and Instagram will take this off, because normally on the podcast you can just record straight and it's going to be edited or whatever. Anyway, so seeing that these are the ways that somebody can be like that, I believe that we should handle the situation with more care than we often do. I am not of the opinion that if you see somebody that is not straight, you should follow them up with beating, or there's something you can do about you should be violent towards people. Because at the end of the day, as somebody who was raised in a Christian home, I believe it's a sin. I believe it is wrong. And as everything that is wrong, it is called sin, and all of us sin. I'm going to just leave it at that. All of us sin, especially when it's a victimless sin. You fornicate with somebody that you call your girlfriend, or you both of you have agreed that you want to fornicate. And as much as it is bad in the eyes of your parents and in the eyes of God, you do not feel too much remorse, because you know that you have the permission of the person you're sleeping with, and they have your permission as well. And I would like to look at it logically as the same thing until a line is crossed. Now, when you are doing this thing, if it's a man and a woman situation, it is expected because it is a natural form of recreation or procreation or whatever. When it's an unnatural way, there's a way we are going to look at it. And I don't think it is ever going to change. People who live like that are never going to be accepted, and as if it doesn't work, as if it's normal, it's okay. It's never going to work like that. But there's a way we can step around this so that everybody will feel at least comfortable to a certain degree. The reason why there's an anger, there's an outrage, or people seem to be very homophobic is because of how much it is in our faces. You know, it's like somebody has done something bad to these people before, and then there's some sort of overcompensation going on with Netflix or with whoever, where there has to be some character of that persuasion in every single movie and every single series, and that we are all gobbling it up. We have to accept it. But deep down, we probably do not like to see that kind of thing, even if we don't mind it, but we don't like to see it. So when it's being forced on our throat like this, there's this is it would I call it an inner resentment that is being built up, and then it comes out of your mouth as homophobia or in your actions as homophobia, and it's not really what it is. So here's the handling. One, if you're somebody of that persuasion, people of that persuasion should be discreet. The same way I would not stand up and be doing something hypersexual on the road. That's the same way we would not want you to do it as well. And if you understand where your own situation is, that this thing is not normal, then it should make you respect yourself even more to try to be more discreet. If somebody knows that you're into that kind of stuff and they try to attack you, or without any prior provocation, then that should be wrong on the person's part. That is straight up homophobia that shouldn't be accepted. But it doesn't mean you are permitted to come and bring it and be pouring it on our faces. That's one. Second thing, you have to stay away from people's children, because if you choose a lifestyle that does not support reproduction, then you have no business with somebody that two people have produced from, what I'm just choosing my words, but I've decided to give birth to. Somebody else's child generally should be off limits to you in whatever you are teaching, because that is where another form of outrage is coming from. Teaching children that it is okay to be this way and that way and that way. Children that straight people gave birth to. It is just wrong on every level. And so if you're going to punish things, for example, now if I'm going to edit good luck's law, I would say if you are engaging in it with somebody that you have two adults, consenting adults, in private, then let them be. I might decide that by myself, people who behave like that, I don't want to employ them in my business. You might decide, it's your choice, it's your prerogative. But then it shouldn't be that when you see that two people of the same sex are doing something in their own house, then you people should go and gather the house and bring them outside and beat them. That one, no, you're not supposed to follow. But if they are doing it, somebody is inside with another person's underage child. Whether consenting or not consenting, if you're under 18, then the older person there should go to prison. That's one. Two, if you are teaching somebody's child also that it is okay for them to touch their fellow man or fellow woman a certain way, then also you should go to prison for teaching that kind of thing because that is not the way that they gave birth to him. If that was the way they gave birth to him, I mean, that's not the way they gave birth. If that's the way his parents were behaving, they wouldn't give birth to him in the first place. So that's another way we can handle that situation. The reason I'm trying to bring this to our table like this is because all of us have consciousness and all of us have souls. So the same way you feel yourself, you feel pain, you feel anger, you feel disgust and shame, and all these emotions, people of that persuasion as well feel it. And it just takes some level of empathy to try and include people like that in into your society and into the society, not your society, by not being too forward and hateful towards them. I'm saying it because this thing goes both ways. I genuinely feel like nobody is like naturally hateful towards these things. It's just if you make them think about it and see it too much, they might build resentment because it is unnatural. But if you don't, people will not mind. You might have a friend who you are not sure. There's always in situations like that, somebody, but you're not quite sure of his way. Like a guy now, you've not seen him with any woman before. When people are talking about girls, not really contributing like that. But you have this suspicion about him, but you've never heard anything. You've never also seen anything. It is okay to have the suspicion. Oh. If you're curious enough, you can now ask and they will tell you, but they will not bring it to your face, right? And if they don't do that, I don't think you'll be so angry the way you're angry with the one that is on the internet putting on makeup and like doing all that stuff in a country where this thing is supposed to be illegal. So I believe that there's a provocation before what you even call homophobia in the first place. And then if you want to avoid the provocation, is to be discreet. The same way even street people are discreet with their stuff. As easy as that, right? Yeah, I had a few creative ideas because now naturally we have pedophiles and regular sex offenders that are not same sex offenders. People who are rapists, who touch children, who touch women that don't want to be touched, and stuff like that. And then I thought about punishment separately because not everybody wants to be homosexual. You get if women are flocking towards a guy, he might not necessarily want to sleep with all of them, but to some degree, he would like the attention he's getting from women because he's attracted to women. But the same sexual attraction might be coming now, but it's from other men. And if he's not gay, he's going to be repulsed by it, irritated by that because he doesn't swing that way. And it's a different thing. And that way, I think it should be classed as harassment. And I'm saying this out of experience because I've felt it. I've had people I know that I've been in situations where somebody was talking to me funny and I didn't quite understand where he was leading to, what it was looking like. But when I finally got it, I did not like how I felt. I did not like it. If it was a girl that was hitting on me that way, probably I won't feel the exact same way. So I think there are two different things, and we should treat the offenses related to it differently as well. So, say for example, you know, somebody rapes a child, but in this case, it's a gay man that molested a small boy. Whether the small boy is gay or straight, we don't know. The punishment for an adult man that molested a small girl, in fact, all of those are just hideous crimes. But the punishment for the one who did it to a boy should be more. Simply because I feel like the molestation itself will be more painful. Not to downplay rape in any way, you understand? But I don't know how to put this in for it to sound nicely. Maybe there's no nice way to say this. But in honest truth, if you tell ourselves the truth, yeah, if somebody is raped, take it like a female that um is not a virgin, is raped, the pain that she feels is there and it's undeniable. And the punishment that the rapist should get is already in the law, whether it is death or whatever. But then when somebody who doesn't even have sex that way naturally is molested that way, here's what I think the rapist should go through. Why punish gay people 14 years? Like, what's the point? Because you cannot punish the gay away. The same way you cannot pray the gay away. Some people are really, really, really good Christians, pastors, for example, that have those inklings and they are not going to follow it. They just keep praying that God will take away these crazy thoughts from them. It's never going to happen, by the way. So if it's not happening like that, imprisoning them will not. It will even make it worse. So 14 years is not. You can imprison them forever. It's not going to work. Banishment should be the thing. I know this is a civilized society. We are in Nigeria. We don't really do banishing, like like it's the evil forest or it's the olden days. But if you don't want that kind of behavior in your society, is it not to take that behavior away from your society? So you sentence them to death or you banish them. Now, death is a bit extreme. So banishment seems like, or exile seems like a more sensible thing to do because after the 14 years, they're not coming back straight, they're still coming back gay. Now, for the offenders, here's the idea I had. That thing should be done to them in prison, right? But like 4 or 5 people every day. When you're serving your 14 years or whatever it is they learned, you should be molested back in a I really don't I cannot say this thing, all right, but I think you get the idea of the level of punishment I'm expecting these people to receive. So that's one idea of punishment. The 14 years is not just going to work, and if somebody, you know what, I'm going to change my mind on this. I think people who molest children should be killed straight up because you're a danger more than you know. Imagine killing somebody and taking somebody's life is one thing. You cause grief to them, to their families and people that love them. But molesting somebody, especially when they are young, you are creating a human being that can potentially spoil the lives of several other human beings. And that butterfly effect you're setting in motion is so heavy that the punishment for it needs to be extreme, needs to be severe, needs to be probably the ultimate price, which is, you know, the maximum sentence. And that's what I think should happen. So all that multiple molestation I'm talking about in the prison itself, they might even enjoy it at the end of the day. So that should even be off the table, you know. So I think yeah, people who molest children should be put to the undoubtedly. I don't even know why any of them go to prison and come back out, honestly. So that's that. But generally, I hope you understand what I've been trying to say regarding this topic and how we can make sure these people are not really feeling threatened. This is for those people that might be considered homophobic. There's a way you can, you know, behave around these people that they will not consider themselves in danger around you. And also, if you're of that persuasion, there's a way you can behave as well for you not to, make yourself hated around other people. But there's something else. There are people who actually don't like effeminate men. That one, I really don't know what to do about it. If somebody has a natural hatred for people who behave like that, then they need to check themselves. Like they need to check themselves. The person who acts like that naturally, I don't think there's anything they can do about it. Because same way we have tomboys, they are just bound to be men who are effeminate. If you actually hate effeminate men or you hate masculine women, let me not say masculine women, you hate women who are tomboys or who behave like men, and you only hate them for that reason, then your hatred has no basis. Because what are you punishing them for exactly? What crime am I punishing them for? Because in that way, that's how they grew up behaving. And if they did anything to you to be different, but if they've not done anything to you, then there should be no hatred whatsoever. There should be no You can dislike them the way you can pretend that your blood doesn't jam with certain people. But hatred, wanting to attack them, wanting to block opportunities from meeting them and stuff like that, I think is just extreme. And we shouldn't do that. So I think I've poured my opinion. I'm going to watch this back and see how well I did. And then we'll reconvene. Let me know in the comments if this is something I should be doing often. Recording and live at the same time is a pretty difficult um thing to try and juggle. But I thank everybody that has been here so far. Before we go, In terms of humanitarian stuff, I want to say something. God is the greatest foundation, like you heard before, is a foundation that I know personally, and I would like us to do what we can to help their outreaches. Their Instagram link is in the description, it's on your screen at the moment as well. Do well to do what you can to extend your helping hand. If you can't do it directly, these channels exist for you to do those things. And I'll see you next time in the next episode. Thank you for watching the Good Living Podcast. Bye.